Hey guys, tonight we slip into the bustling heart of Han China, a time where the sun rises to stream light across a landscape of rolling hills and bustling marketplaces. You find yourself walking along ancient stone paths, feeling the rich dirt shift beneath your shoes. Above banners flutter, their bright reds and yellows snapping gently in the breeze. In your hand, you hold a polished bronze mirror, reflecting the light back into your eyes with a playful glint. They say its gleaming surface does more than catch the morning rays. It wards off the restless spirits that roam the earth. You probably won't survive this night if you come across an angry ghost without a good reflective surface. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And I'd love to hear from you. Post your location and the local time in the comments below. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. As the story begins, you're wandering through a lively marketplace. Vendors shout the merits of their goods, their voices rising over the clamor of the crowd. You pause at a stall where a craftsman carefully polishes a bronze mirror, each stroke deliberate and meticulous. As sunlight bounces off its surface, you're captivated by the shimmering glare it casts against the cobblestones. In ancient Han beliefs, this simple object was more than a tool for vanity. The people believed that the brightness would repel mischievous spirits lingering in the shadows, too cowardly to confront their own reflections. Maybe the demons just had a bad hair day. You chuckle at the thought and feel the air around you hum with an ancient energy, as if the marketplace itself remembers whispers of old secrets. Despite these beliefs, historians still debate whether these mirrors truly had a supernatural purpose, or if they simply reflected an artisan's skill and cultural symbolism. But when you hold the mirror its cool weight in your hand, it's easy to imagine how tantalizingly mysterious the world must have seemed to those who lived here centuries ago. Continuing your journey through the city's narrow streets, you find yourself marveling at the clay-roofed houses, vibrant murals depicting mythical creatures dancing across their walls. You can't help but wonder if those images were meant to be an additional layer of otherworldly protection. After all, when bronze and mythology both fail, always have plan C, a really good mural. A gentle wind carries the scent of jasmine from a nearby garden, easing you into a state of calm as you reach the steps of a serene temple. In its courtyard, you notice a figure kneeling with a bundle of herbs, whispering prayers to unseen deities. The air is thick with incense smoke, which swirls around you like an ethereal embrace. It's like being wrapped in a warm, fragrant blanket. And let's be real, who doesn't love a good blanket in times of existential crisis? You pause by a stone basin where water ripples softly, reflecting your image alongside the sky's drifting clouds. As you lean closer, the bronze mirror catches the last glimmer of sunlight, and you're momentarily dazzled, seeing in its depths both yourself and a world of the spirits it's rumored to ward against. The idea that something so simple might keep you safe feels comforting, like a secret only you and that quiet craftsman know. In this convergence of past and present reality and myth, you move forward with an understanding deeper than before. As you leave the temple's serene embrace, the shadows lengthen and the day's warmth fades, leaving a chill that races down your spine. Your thoughts drift to those spirits, their mysteries woven into the fabric of this vibrant society. Could they truly look upon our world through the mirrored glint of bronze? Perhaps some questions are best left unanswered, as long as your reflection stares confidently back at you. The journey promises more mysteries and stories still untold. You carry your bronze mirror through the waking dreams of Han China, exploring the spaces where history and imagination entwine like tendrils of incense smoke floating toward the stars. With each step, you become part of an unfolding narrative, your own reflection playing a timeless role in this ancient symphony of life and legend. The path to the village is lined with tall, slender cypress trees whose dark, needle-like leaves cradle gentle whispers of the evening breeze. Their shadows stretch across the cobblestone road in the silvery glow of the moon, an ancient sentinel guiding your steps toward a place where time bends softly against the past. As you approach, the flicker of oil lamps casts a warm glow inside the small windows that dot each dwelling like sleepy eyes watching you pass. You find yourself in a humble village where homes are not just places to lay one's head, but carefully crafted sanctuaries designed with both worldly and otherworldly occupants in mind. Each house you pass is a mosaic of stone and timber, a testament to the sturdy hands that built them. The roofs are steeply pitched to allow the frequent rain to dance away, quickly sliding off into gutters that gurgle with satisfaction. You pause in front of a particularly inviting house, its wooden door worn smooth by countless hands. Above the entrance, a mirror glistens seemingly out of place, and time reflecting the soft moonlight. It's no ordinary mirror. Instead of it being a tool of vanity like the mirror in your grandmother's hallway, this one holds a deeper purpose. It's a silent guardian, a warning to spirits, beware. You step closer, peering at your own reflection framed by the darkened night. Historians speculate why these mirrors were placed above entrances. Some believe it's to confuse spirits, forcing them to see their own form and turn away banished by their own presence. Others think it guards against evil by capturing the spirit's essence, trapping it within the reflective surface, like a spider in a web of silversmith's making. Still others laugh, possibly with a ghostly echo at the notion they'd do anything at all, and you're left wondering with a tingle at the back of your neck which story you believe. Inside your imagined sanctuary, the heart of the home is a large stone hearth. Its warmth wraps around you as you step inside, much like an old friend returning after a long journey. You can almost see its fire flickering, casting playful shadows that dance across the brick and timbered walls. There's a comforting scent of baked bread wafting through the air, mingling with earthy herbs hung to dry, lavender, rosemary thyme, familiar yet timeless. The small parlor is arranged with intent, the way a painter might place the elements of their canvas. Each piece of furniture seems to sit with purpose. A sturdy wooden table, no doubt central to the evening's feast. High-backed chairs that creak with stories of those who once sat there. And tapestries that hang heavy with history, woven by hands long passed into quiet rest. A soft chuckle escapes you as you notice a small child's toy horse resting against the wooden leg of a chair. You imagine the child, perhaps clad in a simple tunic, pulling the toy along the quiet thump and clatter, providing the soundtrack to their innocent journey across flagstones, exploring grand kingdoms in every nook and cranny. The evening is quiet, with only the occasional hoot of an owl interjecting the silence, a reminder that while the cosmos spins silently above, life continues in its cyclical dance here below. You can almost hear the echoes of a family from long ago, seated around the table sharing stories and laughter. The patriarch, perhaps, with a graying beard and a twinkle in his eye, recounting tales of old, like a bedtime story for his children, each word a breadcrumb leading to a tomorrow filled with dreams. There's an enveloping calm here, a tranquility that seeps into your bones, slowing your heartbeat to a peaceful rhythm. You pause at a window, tracing your fingers through the dust gathered on the sill, a tactile reminder of years passing like whispers. Beyond the night stretches deep and infinite, a velvet backdrop punctuated by the soft glow of distant stars, each one a possible world teeming with life and stories of its own. You tilt your head, considering a painting hung by the door. Its frame is gold and faded, but the image inside bursts with color, an abundant field of wild flowers, tumbling beneath a sky so blue it almost seems unreal. The painting captures a moment that defies historical accuracy, and you wonder if this was the world as they dreamed it could be. Besides the mirror above the door, smaller nuances hint at beliefs and customs woven into the fabric of daily life. A row of small iron nails lines the wall, a practical defense against fairies of mischievous intent, or so the old tales would suggest. These superstitions, you realize, are often as enduring as the stones themselves, whispered truths that tether hearts to a time where myth danced hand in hand with reality. As you take another gentle breath, letting the peace of this place nestle into your spirit, you find comfort in the imperfect certainty of history woven through with facts embellished by lore. You muse how, even in modern times, the essence of these beliefs find echoes, curious customs, and adornments slipping quietly through the passage of time into your present. You can almost hear a gentle voice from the shadows, a playful ghost adding levity to the lore. "Give 'em a good look in that mirror, it might say, with a hearty laugh, causing you to smile at the thought of an eternally jolly guardian. The night wears on, wrapping you in its embrace, a gentle reminder that sometimes the simplest places hold the greatest mysteries. Here, where mirrors turn back the unknown and hearths cradle whispered histories, you find the echoes of human lives lived with intent, infused with warm hope, and yes, a touch of playful fear of what might be lurking just beyond the doorstep. With a roll of your shoulders, the warmth of the room wraps around you like a familiar old cloak as you prepare to venture into honoric realms where spirits might just peek to catch a glimpse of themselves. You find yourself in the heart of an ancient Han village, meandering down packed dirt paths that snake between humble wooden homes. The air is tinged with the rich fragrance of pine from nearby forests, occasionally spiced with the smoky aroma of cooking fires. Barefooted children dart around you, giggling as they play a game of chase, their laughter a soft symphony that dances in the dark. Through the open doors and latticed windows, families gather around tables laden with bowls of steaming rice and fragrant duck sharing stories of the day, as chopsticks flicker like friendly little sword fights. As you pass by, the murmur of conversation and clinking of porcelain cups feels almost musical, a lullaby of daily life. Tonight, your journey leads you to a small workshop tucked at the edge of this village where the clatter of craftsmanship rustles the stillness. Inside, smooth beams of mahogany frame the space, and paper lanterns spill warm light over the scene. You step inside, the scent of fresh lacquer and earth and clay greeting you like an old friend. An elderly artisan sits cross-legged on a woven mat in the center of the room, his fingers moving with a grace that belies the wrinkles of time etched into his skin. Before him, an array of polished bronze mirrors catch and warp the light in intriguing patterns. These mirrors are not mere tools of vanity or mundane reflections. Their purpose whispered softly like secrets over tea crafted to shine with righteousness and repel wandering souls. It seems cleanliness was not just next to godliness, but actually kept you ghost-free as well. As you watch him polish a new piece, dipping cloth into a mixture of wax and unknown ingredients, you marvel at the idea that such reflective surfaces were believed to repel spirits. The Han people regarded their reflections as more than just an image. They thought of them as a protective barrier. Gazing into a polished bronze mirror, you can almost see the faint echo of your own face distorted slightly, like a curious friend winking back at you. You wonder if they ever truly believed such mirrors could ward off spirits, or if it was a tale woven to impress the young, much like how your aunt once convinced you that a fence of conchers would keep spiders at bay. History tells us that these artisans imbued their creations with a sense of moral righteousness, using them as tools, not just of protection, but of spiritual cleanliness. The elderly artisan looks up, meeting your eyes with a serene nod, as if aware of your musings. To live honorably is to cast a reflection worthy of the heavens. He murmurs with a warm smile, his voice as gentle as silk sliding over polished wood. Did they really work? You ask, a hint of mischief in your voice, as your mind drifts back to all the sitcoms where ghosts just ignore boundaries altogether. Who can say, he replies softly, a twinkle in his eye. Historians still debate whether the spirits were thwarted or merely amused. A breeze carries the scent of blossoming plum trees past the open windows, and you exhale slowly, shoulders relaxing against the wall behind you. These moments feel like small treasures, tucked away for safekeeping, and savored like rare sweets. The artisan continues his work, occasionally pausing to turn a mirror in the light, nodding to himself, as if conversing with an invisible friend. You sit beside him, the wooden floor cool against your legs, and feel the peace of this ancient place enfold you. Through nearby windows, you catch glimpses of the night sky turning darker, the first stars appearing timidly. There's comfort in knowing that this art, born of ancient beliefs, still twinkles in the present, as if leading weary souls to restful dreams. Together in hushed companionship, you watch the array of mirrors multiply the lamplight until the room feels like it shimmers with 100 warm little suns. It is a moment suspended, echoing with the unspoken stories of those who came before you, and those yet to gaze into these polished surfaces, caught between worlds of reality and reflection. In the quiet dimness of the town's cobblestone streets, you wander, the lantern in your hand, casting soft pools of golden light upon the worn path. The chill of the evening air prompts you to pull your cloak tighter around your shoulders, its fabric brushing softly against your skin. You find solace in the rhythmic tap of your boots on the stones, each step bringing you closer to the vivid tales that hang thick in the nighttime air. Tonight, whispers of ancient folklore play along the edges of your thoughts, tales of how once mystical beings could be undone by something as simple as their own reflection or the break of day. The stones seem to hold on to the memory of countless stories, some of which have likely inspired dread in the hearts of those who walked this path before you. As you move, you can almost imagine the shadows elongating, leaning in close, as if eager to share their secrets. In the stillness, the claims rise to your mind like the effervescent light of a captured sunbeam. Evil beings faced with their own grotesque images might slink away into darkness or quite dramatically disintegrate with the arrival of sunlight. There's a poetic justice in this idea, a tidy resolution that's hard not to find satisfying. You slow your steps and exhale, watching as your breath mingles with the cool night air, wondering if there could be truth to these old sayings. Historians still debate whether these beings were ever more than metaphorical boogeymen conjured by fearful imaginations. An owl hoots softly from a nearby tree as if contemplating these mysteries alongside you. You can't help but chuckle at the thought. Imagining it really does make the night feel less daunting, doesn't it? But how exactly would a creature come to loathe its own reflection so deeply that it would flee or perish? The thought curls around your mind like the tendrils of mist gathering at your ankles. Truth, unveiled in the most literal sense, could deter even the vilest of apparitions, or so the tales suggest. You wonder how they dislike seeing themselves when you've personally avoided mirrors until you've had a strong cup of morning brew. As you stroll beneath an archway of intertwining branches, the atmosphere tinged with the earthy scent of fallen leaves and damp stone, your hand absent-mindedly traces the weathered carvings etched into the old wooden doors. They depict scenes of such reflections painted brilliantly by the storyteller's touch. The human visages staring down the monstrous in a decidedly theatrical manner. You think about the daylight's supposed power, a universal fear for these beings. There's a whimsical fairness to the idea that sunlight, a symbol of truth in so many cultures, proves their downfall. But then again, you muse, how often do you ponder your own motives in the harsh light of day? It's easier not to question these little mysteries too much. Isn't that the point of stories, to leave us with a sense of wonder? A brisk breeze sweeps through, rustling the leaves with an almost conspiratorial murmur. Whether this talk of reflections or sunlight holds any reality, or is merely the stuff of legends told around hearths on cold winter nights, you may never know. But that's part of the charm. It's a comfort, stories meant to keep the darkness at bay, much like the lantern you carry to guide you through this historical tapestry. Yet amid the humor and fanciful imagination, there's a piece that whispers of deeper truths. After all, truth and fear often walk hand in hand. You decide as you amble onward that perhaps the heart of these tales lies not solely in their spellbinding imagery, but in their shared human need for balance between light and shadow. Now, as your path carries you through the sleepy town under twinkling stars, you can't help but smile at the thought that perhaps, just like those mistaken creatures, we might find our own flaws more forgivable in the gentle glow of companionship. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. I'd love to hear where you're from and what time it is where you are, so drop that in the comments. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You find yourself in an ancient artist's workshop. Sunlight trickles through cracks in the wooden shutters, illuminating the dust motes that dance lazily through the air. A collection of mirrors lies on a workbench, each one unique, each one containing a mystery. As you approach, cautiously curious about their secrets, you imagine the craftsmen who might have worked here. What tales did they hope to tell with their intricate designs? You pick up a mirror, its surface reflecting your face, back at you, but with dimples of engravings on the reverse. Intricate symbols and mythical creatures spiral outwards, inviting you to ponder their meanings. Was it a mere artistic choice, or did these symbols hold some deeper significance? Historians still debate whether these patterns were chosen for beauty alone, or if they were carefully selected to convey messages or protect against evil. Moving it until the sunlight catches just right, you are suddenly part of the illusion. The designs transform into shadows, and light on the wall a proto-cinema in an age before films, magic, or optics. Perhaps you think it's a bit of both. As you relax into this mesmerizing light show, you can't help but chuckle. It's like medieval PowerPoint, only infinitely cooler. In the corner, an elderly craftsman, his hair a white halo from the backlit sun, watches your wonder with a knowing smile. Do you see the secrets? His voice rustling like parchment matches the room's ancient feel. He's delighted by your awe, much like a modern grandparent, showing you how to use a rotary phone. The old ways impressing upon the new. You remember reading about how wealthy patrons would commission these mirrored marvels. Rome, filled with its marble splendor, hummed with innovations, like these reflections of status. Each mirror was not just decor, but a magical tool that showed more than a mere image. It projected personality and mystique, silently narrating tales across the villa walls. With a mix of sunlight and shadows, you imagine standing in a grand Roman hall. Smooth marble entices your bare feet, and vividly painted frescoes cover the walls, breathing life onto the stone surface. There, amidst opulence, these mirrors hung, not just for vanity, but as devices for intrigue and conversation. Children must have chased after the light shows, while adults pondered the symbols, sipping spiced wine. In another section of the workshop, you find an older mirror, its bronze perfumed with age. a fascinating reminder that while some things evolve, others remain timeless. Given its delicate craftsmanship, historians still ponder whether these mirrors were practical tools or status objects symbolizing power and fortune. You hold it up, thinking of all the faces it once reflected, while capturing the essence of their moments in time. Nearby, a small cart is laden with tiny tools used for the engraving process. You gingerly touch a chisel, its handle smooth from years of use, and wonder how long it took the craftsman to complete such detailed work. You consider trying your hand at it, but laugh, picturing yourself creating only off-balance spirals and shapes that more closely resemble breakfast pastries than mythical beings. Is it working? The craftsman's voice comes from across the room. He gestures toward your experiment with the light and mirror. Yes, you reply, but it feels like I'm summoning spirits. He chuckles, a warm, comforting sound. That's what people thought long ago. Imagine believing you held the sun's spirit within your hand. He speaks with a reverence for these objects that goes beyond simple craft, as if each piece carries a piece of its maker's soul. The light shifts with the passing of a cloud, and your reflection dissolves into patterns again, rippling like water on the wall. Time feels irrelevant here. Each flicker of light is a journey through the ages. You ponder how many of these mirrors survive in the world, perhaps lying dusty and forgotten in attics, waiting for a curious beam of sunlight. If this whimsical meditation on ancient magic and optics stirs something in you, it's that same quest for understanding and wonder that unites us through history. You smile, nestled in silence, save for the whispers of ancient truths playing across the wall. Isn't it amazing what stories can be told with a bit of light and tiny engravings? As the day's golden sunlight wanes and the room starts to dim, you feel a gentle warmth from the experience. You find comfort in knowing that the smallest details can contain vast untold stories waiting to be discovered, much like these mirrors. So you exhale slowly, your shoulders relaxing as you put the mirror back on the workbench, confident that tonight you've unearthed whispers from the past that will linger gently in your dreams. From behind the ancient silvered surface of the mirror, cast in the soft flicker of candlelight, you see them, a majestic phoenix and a powerful dragon intertwined in eternal dance. These aren't just decorative motifs. According to the artisans who made them, they are guardian spirits destined to watch over you and your family. In your hands, the mirror feels both cool and strangely warm, as if it remembers the craftsman who painstakingly worked each detail. With the surface reflecting your curious eyes in the glow of the room, you ponder these intricate figures that echo stories of protection and power. You smile, imagining a phoenix perched at your bedside feathers, awash in hues of flaming oranges and reds, warding off despair with a flick of its magnificent tail. Then there's the dragon's scales, gleaming like polished jade, presumed to chase away spirits with its mythical roar, though you reckon its presence might just scare away your dreams of sleep too. Oh, the musings of those who believed in such potency were rich, painting lives with hope or perhaps a fair share of fear. As you run a finger carefully over the cold steel edge, you can't help but snicker at the thought of a dragon appearing to fright away nightmares, while you inadvertently frighten it with your persistent habit of talking in your sleep. Historians still debate whether the belief in such guardians actually furnished peace or merely padded one's purse with the cost of such luxuries. Nonetheless, in the flickering shadows of your room, it all feels so enchantingly real. Setting the mirror gently back upon the wooden vanity, you walk across the room, a cozy haven illuminated by warm, syrupy light, casting playful shapes of varying lengths and eyes that sometimes seem to follow. The walls whisper of stories, both imagined and true for you, are in a place where history and fantasy often share a quiet drink. You think of the ancients who held these beliefs so tightly. Did they watch over their families with a certain smugness, reassured by a phoenix's presence? Or was it merely a comforting lull, the bedtime gestures we tell ourselves to keep the world at bay? Your thoughts drift easily to an old scholar. You recall a man of books and secrets who once shared the tale of a dynasty, known for embedding mirrors in their halls, but with words and creatures visible only from behind. Talk about a thought-provoking decorating choice. You muse as you pull the soft blanket over your shoulders, enjoying the encompassing warmth. You wonder if they truly believed these intricate beasts captured meticulously on bronze and glass would come to life when needed. Maybe it wasn't belief, but rather a sweet embrace of the unknown that guided them, the one comfort of letting go and trusting in unseen forces, a truth that's always danced just a whisper away from conscious thought. As you snuggle deeper, the gentle crackling from the nearby hearth mixes with the rhythmic, soft ticking of the old wooden clock, each sound melding into a symphony of lullabies. Some may find it surprising how such simple melodies keep the heart steady, yet it's a universally acknowledged truth that the simplest songs are the most enchanting. Through sleepy, half-lidded gazes, you sense the flickers of shadow creatures cavorting across the ceilings. Might they just be the phoenix and dragon, joining for a celebratory dance, because you've honored them this night with your thoughts? Soft laughter bubbles within you, a gentle sound caught between waking and sleep. Could it be possible that they've been watching you all along, these protectors of the hidden kind? Their silent duty cast upon mirrors that reflect more than surfaces, mirrors that delve into souls where quiet hopes hide. In this serene atmosphere, the presence of ancient guardians doesn't seem so far-fetched. After all, tonight you found yourself part of a dance woven through time one, where history and myth share a light-hearted nod. As your eyes flutter, slowly close, drawn towards sleep with a tender pull, you think of that phoenix and dragon. Could they be as amused by our beliefs as we are by them? Possibly. But for now, in this sacred interlude of thought and dreams, you find your own peace guarded quietly by legends past cast in the mirrors of your mind. The legend speaks of a mirror within the opulent court of a bygone kingdom, a mirror that was said to unveil the truth, reflecting not just images, but the guilt deep within the hearts of those who dared to approach it. You stand upon the polished stone floors of this vast hall, where the air hums with whispers of intrigue and secrets long concealed. The walls are adorned with ornate tapestries depicting heroic battles and noble hunts, their colors faded, yet still echoing grand tales of old. A flicker of candlelight dances across these scenes, casting moving shadows that seem to breathe life into the woven figures. As you step forward, the coolness of the marble underfoot sends a tiny shiver up your spine. Taking a moment here, you can't help but feel a slight chuckle rising within you after all. If everyone believed in magical mirrors that reveal dishonesty, you'd probably be in some hot water yourself. You think of the gravity of those summoned to stand before such an object, their pulse quickening with each step toward what they feared might just be a literal reflection of their innermost truths. Historians still debate whether this so-called truth mirror was truly a supernatural tool or rather an astoundingly clever bluff by an insightful king, a means to maintain order and compel honesty without so much as lifting a sword. You notice the courtiers around you, their faces half lit by the afternoon sun streaming in through the arched windows. They move about in hushed tones, an elegant gathering of those bound by the strings of power and expectation. With a nod, one courtier gestures for you to approach, and you can't help but wonder if they truly believed this mirror could condemn or absolve them with its simple reflection stained with truth. You're entirely intrigued by the weight of this belief and the subtle power it wielded in shaping behaviors and decisions. It's akin to the belief that whoever found Excalibur and freed it from the stone was destined to be king, another timeless legend wrapped in mystery and nuanced realities. The grand mirror stands at the far end of the throne room, framed in burnished gold and inscribed with indecipherable markings that supposedly trace back to a language of ancestors whose tales are still whispered around flickering campfires. In the calm of the room, it seems more like a beautiful piece of art than an instrument of judgment. Glancing at it from a distance, you playfully imagine if it could also reflect who actually ate the last piece of cake when no one was looking. Drawn closer, you catch the eye of the king seated upon his throne, his robes a cascade of sanguine hues that pool at his feet. His face is lined with wisdom, and his eyes twinkle as if he shares a secret with the universe itself. He seems simultaneously present and distant, absorbed in the charade that occasionally unfolds before him, thanks to his notorious mirror. You notice him exchange a faint smile with a nearby advisor, perhaps a shared inside joke, or a subtle tacit acknowledgement of the theatrics at play. As you take your place before the towering glass, it becomes clear that it's simply a magnificent mirror, one that merely reflects back at you your own bemused expression. You exhale slowly, tension leaving your shoulders as you let out a contented sigh. Perhaps the true magic lies not in the mirror's surface, but in its ability to make you confront your own reflection, your own truth, and the stories you tell yourself. For in its silent presence, it commands introspection and honesty in a way no other object can. A young court jester cap adorned with jingling bells passes by and pauses for a moment, catching your eye as he does. He points a finger at the mirror, then smirks, mouthing the words, "Just a mirror, mate," before twirling away in a fluid dance of laughter and theatrical mischief. A subtle reminder that not everything clothed in mystique needs to be taken too seriously. It is this tapestry of characters that keeps the stories alive. They weave their lives through whispered gossip, well-intentioned deceptions, and told fortunes spun dense with symbolisms and shaded truths. It is how myths sustain through the gravity of belief and the simple enduring allure of a tale, spun under the auspice of the stars. You continue to muse over these thoughts, your gaze unfocused, lost in the constellated webs that form in societies both ancient and new. The mirror, real or imagined in its powers, stands at the nexus of human vulnerability and the continuous quest for truth, each face that it reflects adding to its legend. Who would have thought something so unobtrusive could hold such dread and fascination? In the end, perhaps the most potent of all the powers it possesses is its ability to make you question, make you wonder, to peer closer and see not just what's in front of you, but what lies beneath. You chuckle softly to yourself. Maybe the truth was always less about what the mirror showed and more about what it evoked, an embodiment of the age-old dance between guilt and innocence laid bare for all who dared to look. As you drift deeper into your journey through this ancient tomb, your eyes adjust to the low flicker of a smoking oil lamp. The air feels dense, not unpleasantly, so, but rather with a whisper of mystery, wrapping around you like a well-worn cloak. Each step you take on the cool stone floor echoes softly, a quiet drumbeat, guiding you deeper into history's embrace. Your fingers graze the walls, adorned with faded hieroglyphics, telling tales from a time long past. You wonder what secrets these stones have borne witness to stories of life and death, encrypted in pictorial language. The coolness against your fingertips triggers a shiver, but not from cold. It's more like the chill of stepping into another era, where ancient traditions breathe quietly around you. In the dim light, you catch a glint, a quick refracted sparkle nestled among the array of objects placed carefully beside the still form of a mummified person. Amongst the vases and delicate carvings, it's the mirrors that hold your gaze. Not merely for vanity, these mirrors held a far more profound purpose than just reflecting your hair being uncooperative or your eyebrows' tendency to rebel. Mirrors in such places, an echo of a scholar's voice, whispers in your mind, were believed to show the way to the afterlife. You smile to yourself at the thought navigating through the beyond with nothing but one's reflection for company. You can't help but wonder who would want to turn back after all this preparation. These mirrors were often made from highly polished metals like bronze or copper. The craftsmanship must have been a labor of love, requiring such skill to achieve that smooth, reflective surface in an age without our modern tools. Each mirror a possible gateway to eternity, holding the fleeting image of a face long gone. You take a moment to imagine this ancient practice possibly comforting, or perhaps unsettling. Did the souls truly seek their own visage to guide them onward? Or was it simply the living projecting their hopes upon the unknown? You've read how historians still debate whether this was an act of faith or a precaution, a kind of spiritual seatbelt for the afterlife journey. In a corner of the tomb, you kneel beside a small tableau of personal items, a comb, a simple array of amulets. It's the kind of scene that tugs at the edges of your understanding, a tableau assembled with love or obligation. Your heart softens, imagining the care behind such preparations. Was this enough, you wonder, to bolster one's courage in facing the vast unknown? As you study the objects, you're gently amused by the idea that perhaps even 4,000 years ago, people grappled with the universal dread of losing their keys at the journey's most inopportune moment. You picture them hesitating at the threshold of another world, wondering whether they left their best amulet behind, or if their soul selfie looked slightly groggy. Soft strains of distant music seem to float down the stone passageways, more echoes of your imagination perhaps than real sound. You hear the plucked notes of ancient stringed instruments weaving with the quiet rhythm of your breath. It's a lullaby from the past, soothingly underscored by a promise of safety of arrival at a destination bathed in eternal sunlight. You wonder in a half-unconscious way why the mirrors were so securely tucked in with the dead. Was it a reminder to the living not to gaze too long and miss their own reflection as time shifted their visage, or an indicator that the way forward was always more enchanting than the temptation to turn back? A trace humor trails your thoughts. Perhaps mirrors were there to remind one to pack light because there was no turning back for the socks left behind. No, mirror, mirror, show me home. Once you cross the eternal threshold, you lift yourself back to your feet, sensing the spirit of the place, respect unfolding within you like the perfumed petals of a funerary wreath preserved in memory's archive. With a gentle sigh, the room seems to release you as you ease back down the passageway. The mirrors, silent witnesses to uncompleted journeys, watch your retreat with a warmth that defies the chill of stone. As you step into the world above, night air crisp against your cheeks, the stars gaze back in mirrors of sky far greater than those crafted by human hand. With each breath you absorb the serenity of the ancients. Your thoughts gently drift and settle, just like the soft hum of the wind over the desert sands, guiding you to a restful place somewhere between history and dream. The village seems to glitter under the moonlight when you wander through its narrow paths. The night is serene, your steps soft on the well-trodden earth. Around you, quaint cottages cocoon the weary souls within in blankets of warmth. Above your path, stars sparkle like scattered jewels across a dark sky. But the charm of the village grows as something catches your eye, little mirrors dangling above doorways, and beds swinging gently in the cool night breeze. These mirrors aren't just there for decoration. They've been placed with purpose, shimmering talismans that keep watch over sleeping families and flickering hearths. You muse for a moment, your breath hanging in the air. Could these mirrors truly ward off ghosts? As villagers believe, historians still debate whether these small reflective charms actually have ancient origins, or if they sprang up from lively imaginations alongside simmering stew pots. You pause in the doorway of a modest home, its stone exterior casually resisting the chill night air. The warmth from a kitchen fire brushes your face as you lean against the wooden frame, eyes trailing along the dancing shadows created by the flames. There's a mirror above the mantel glinting slyly, as if offering its own little smirk of approval. Why mirrors? You wonder out loud. An older villager passing by catches your gaze. He stops with a gentle nod, his wisps of white hair escaping a well-worn cap as he shares a knowing look. Old Ma used to say, he begins his voice soft and weathered, they keep ghosts from wandering too far from wherever they came. Mirrors confuse them, so they don't get cozy. You chuckle, the skepticism in your voice barely concealed. Seems like a lot of trouble to keep out something most of us can't even see. He laughs in return, shrugging his shoulders. True enough, he says, but I've yet to meet a ghost who enjoys its own reflection. You imagine a spirit startled by its own translucent visage, shaking its otherworldly head and retreating in confusion. Perhaps it's just as effective as keeping garlic to deter those cloaked fangs of old with a fear of snappy herbs. You don't know if these quaint protections could withstand the rigors of science, but they certainly stand strong against the chill of the unknown. As you continue your walk, the night wraps around you like a comfortable cloak. Dogs sleepily watch from their resting spots, lazily lifting their heads as you pass. Your feet take you past a handful of homes, each with stories sealed within their rustic walls, a tale or two, if only those walls could speak over the crackle of burning logs. You find your way to a small clearing by the village square, where a few children are gathered, engaged in whispers and the giggles of shared secrets. Their eyes gleam mischievously, much like the mirrors that guard the good folks of the village. You remember how you too, at that age, would take such tales to heart, your own rich imagination lighting up the room more than the glow from a torch ever could. One child, a girl with wild auburn curls and a formidably serious expression, announces, "They say the old willow by the river hides a portal to the ghost world, a mirror so big you can see forever." Her voice carries an earnestness that you find almost contagious. A skeptic you might be, but even skeptics can appreciate the charm of a good tale. As you listen, a yawn threatens to break your facade of disinterest, and you realize how heavy your lids are getting. Sleep, like a gentle lullaby, beckons you to return to your own hearth, where the flicker of firelight can be your lull. As you bid good night to the small group and turn towards your own tiny abode, the village seems to glow even more brightly under the starlit sky. You breathe in the cold night air, feeling it tingle in your lungs. There's a subtle kind of magic here, even if it's born from stories told 1,000 times over under canopies of stars. Stepping back into your home small, yet filled with the certainties and uncertainties of life, your eyes linger once again on the mirror above your own hearth, its frame worn from years yet polished. You wonder idly if there's an ethereal reflection held within, waiting patiently for the lights to dim. You sink into your chair, the fire crackling its symphony of warmth and light. As you watch the shadows play upon your walls, it's not long before your long-awaited yawn returns with fervor. You catch a glimpse of the small mirror's reflection, your own tired eyes staring back, and feel a sense of company rather than solitude. The rhythmic song of the night creatures begins to lull you deeper into a peaceful repose. There's a reassurance in knowing that some things remain unchanged, like the faithful company of mirrors and the tales of ghosts and magic they reflect. Sleep tugs at you, a kindly thief, gently stealing away the wakefulness that tried so hard to hold on. As you close your eyes, you allow yourself to drift, knowing that the next time you open them, you might question once more the ghosts that never were, but you will do so with a fondness only felt by those who wander such village paths. As you step further into this ancient realm, the artisans around you meticulously blend copper and tin, a well-practiced alchemy. You watch spellbound as each crucible heats over a glowing fire, the metals fusing into a delicate bronze that holds the secret to clear reflections. The ambiance is serene yet buzzing with quiet determination, a juxtaposition all its own. You notice a craftsman weary but focused, pouring the liquid metal into a waiting mold with a precision that seems born of instinct as much as experience. The workshop itself is a marvel, a cluttered sanctuary where the ordinary transforms into the extraordinary. Stone walls etched with years of soot and history surround you. Shelves crammed full of dried herbs offer a muted kaleidoscope of colors, their earthly scents mingling softly with the metallic fumes. Juniper, sage, and rosemary, they're not just for flavoring the medieval stew, but for ensuring that a mere sheet of metal glimmers with clarity. A master artisan approaches her hands calloused yet graceful. Her eyes meet yours, a twinkle, acknowledging both the mystery and mischief in her task. "We know the metal reflects," she says, though a wry smile suggests the procedure's true complexity eludes easy explanation. It's the ritual that listens to the heart. Historians still debate whether these rituals mattered or whether they simply reflected the superstitions of a more mystical past. Still, you take solace in the thought that perhaps there's more to reflections than the mundane images they offer. And honestly, glancing at ancient reflective surfaces, a little less sharp compared to your bathroom mirror, you appreciate how curiosity, much like mirrors, has two faces. As you meander through the workshop, you gently part the curtains of an open window, allowing a subtle breeze to pass. Outside, fields stretch beneath a fine, soft haze, a reminder that even in these industrious spaces, nature seeps in gentle reminders of its own artistry. You breathe in deeply, feeling a coolness that carries promises of evening peace. Just as your curiosity swells, a young apprentice, a mere apprentice by title for his expertise, rivals many strikes up casual banter with you. His jest about the necessity of quiet prayers to stave off mischievous spirits in the reflection draws a sleepy chuckle from you, a light-hearted nod to the superstition sowing itself through the craft even in jest. The work continues, each reflective surface a canvas waiting to capture more than just a visage or two. The artisans meticulously polish with soft pieces of rough fabric, each stroke deliberate and tender. You're intrigued by the precision and patience involved, a soothing rhythm that seems almost meditative. Finally, you see them sprinkle a fine dust of crushed herbs over the glistening metal, a curious mixture of scent and form. The elders say it blesses clarity and wards off imperfections. You find yourself inhaling deeply, savoring the herby fragrance, pondering whether this aromatic ritual is more comforting routine than functional necessity, much like the gentle lullabies hummed before sleep. It's not just mirrors they're creating, you realize, but gateways tethering past and future. Your mind dances with the notion Imagine these reflective fragments, cradled stories now lost to time. With each gentle polish, with every inaudible whisper of prayer, you're witnessing history become tangible and ephemeral simultaneously. And as the workshop hums back to life, the blend of metal herbs and prayer continues a tapestry of enduring legacies reflecting both the craft of ancient hands and the curious minds that dare look beyond the surface. You feel a quiet pride emanating from the artisans, an unspoken confidence in their creation's resilience through ages. You smile to yourself, enjoying the warm atmosphere around you, the human mix of sweat and satisfaction. Perhaps tomorrow you think they'll hold up a mirror to reflect this moment back to you. But for tonight, nestled in the serenity of softly whispered incantations and the rhythmic clanking of forgotten tools, you're content to let your imagination reflect instead. In this crafted realm, everything aligns. The past breathes, the present soothes, and the tired mind prepares to slip under the velvet cloak of night, each reflection becoming a whisper on the wind, edging you towards dreams untold. In the quiet dim of twilight, you find yourself standing in a sparse yet elegantly adorned room, where every object seems meticulously placed, not a single item more than necessary, yet each holding a secret of its own. Shadows dance along the smooth ebony floors cast there by a lone candle flickering with each subtle draft. A rectangular mirror, its frame as intricate as a spider's web, stands against the far wall. Its surface reflects the candle's glow and you with surprising clarity and a hint of distortion toward the edges. A curious trait that tempts you to lean closer. You've read that mirrors to Han philosophers are more than mere tools for reflection. They represent balance straddling the line between light and shadow. Here you ponder their belief that imbalance was where spirits might slip through from one world to another. Now that's a thought you carry around like an inside joke, a mischievous grin tickling your lips at the notion that a little spectral company might suddenly appear just because you didn't tidy up the room. Historians still debate whether these mirrors truly held any supernatural qualities, or whether they were merely polished metals serving a philosophical metaphor. Yet as you stand in its chilling presence, you cannot shake the feeling that perhaps those ancient thinkers were on to something. Could this polished sliver of the world be a portal to the unknown? A breeze whispers through the window, fluttering the thin rice paper walls. You feel a pleasant shiver race down your spine, a frequent companion in this ancient abode. You wonder if the spirits agree with the old philosophers, or if they mock our mortal attempts at interpreting such cosmic mysteries. Perhaps the mirror's only purpose is to remind you of these questions. The room's simplicity surrounds you like a warm bath, urging your mind to ease into contemplation rather than conclusions. You remember reading somewhere that these philosophers often found peace in ambiguity. It was the acceptance of uncertainty that allowed wisdom to breathe. A thought steals across your mind. Perhaps it's not about balancing light and shadow, but about embracing both as they oscillate through the quiet rhythm of the evening. A soft rustle catches your attention. You turn to see the old caretaker, an elderly figure with eyes like worn stones, entering the room with the small bowls of fragrant tea. The scent is earthy, with a hint of wildflowers and unexpected delight, considering the profound quiet of the room. He chuckles softly as though sharing in your private jest about spirits and reflections. Care for some tea, my young wanderer. His words hang in the air, comforting in their leisurely pace. You nod, grateful for another tether to reality, in a place where shadows tell secrets. As the tea warms your hands, he begins to speak of the days when mirrors were thought to capture the soul's essence. Some even thought they held the power to reveal true intentions. But he adds with a smile, it often depends on how close you are willing to look. You picture yourself nose to glass, searching for unspoken depths, and chuckle internally at the absurdity. Who would want to see that deeply anyway? You sip your tea thoughtfully, the liquid warmth unwinding the tension from your shoulders. It's a release, much like that fleeting moment when you let yourself believe in stories of spirits locked eternally in glass. You glance at the mirror again and wonder if it would approve of the balance you've struck tonight. A dance between curiosity and acceptance. A moment suspended between seen and unseen. The room around you settles into deeper shadow, save for the solitary candle still bravely holding its ground. In the mirror's reflection, you almost expect to catch a glimpse of a passing specter or hear the soft whisper of earlier dialogues echoing through time. But only silence greets you, a comforting reminder of peace that transcends the material. Finally, as night unfurls its starry tapestry, the candle flickers resolutely one last time before surrendering to the encroaching dark, and you find yourself suspended in the serenity of this twilight realm. You exhale softly, your breath mingling with the whispers of the mirror, and ease into the warm embrace of dreams where reality and imagination intertwine as effortlessly as light and shadow. Somewhere amidst the gentle rustle of evening winds and the soft whispering echoes of 1,000 stories yet untold, you find yourself stepping into the mysterious world of spirit-marked mirrors. The polished surface of the glass before you reflects not just your image, but also bizarrely trails of patterns. These strange shapes seem to dance just at the edge of comprehension, vanishing and reappearing with a life of their own. Now, if you're the sort to enjoy an evening deep dive into the enigmatic, you've come to the right place. You heard whispers in town before, spirit-marked. They'd said in hushed tones, as if the mirrors might somehow overhear. And here you are, the brave explorer of history's truths and tales that might raise the eyebrow of a skeptic. As you reach out your fingers brushing against the cool surface, you think back to the stories of ancient Rome. Did you know they used polished metals instead of glass? Imagine trying to fix your hair in a bronze mirror, squinting through the smudges. They believed mirrors could contain souls, and perhaps there's a grain of truth hidden somewhere in that ancient superstition. The room around you seems older all of a sudden, as if time itself hesitated when caught in contemplation. Cozy corners cradle you with the scent of aging wood and the unmistakable musk of antiquity. You'd half expect a scholarly ghost, perhaps, an ancient philosopher dissatisfied at being stuck between realms, to start a lecture on metaphysics over your shoulder. With the gentle golden glow of candlelight flickering across the walls, shadows dance and stretch, mimicking the patterns you saw in the mirror, giving them a playful freedom of their own. And as you ponder this strange dance, you consider the unusual notion: did the mirror trap these mystical patterns, or did it reveal them? Historians still debate whether such beliefs about mirrors are grounded in truth or merely the elegant fancies of folklore. Your reflections give a soft chuckle. Perhaps today's selfie obsession isn't so far from ancient beliefs after all. Surely capturing one's image, be it in polished bronze or pixel perfection, holds its own peculiar magic. A breeze lightly teases the curtains, a reminder of the real world outside one that doesn't care much for spirits or shadows. And the light sarcasm in your thoughts loses some edge, replaced by a sliver of cozy contemplation. A gentle knock interrupts your ponderings, and in the grand tradition of bedtime stories, you almost expect the door to creak open, revealing a figure from the past, but it's only the evening calm. You decide it's time to focus again, imagining yourself like an eager archaeologist, piecing together fragments of a forgotten past while comfortably nested in the present. Holding another glance with the mirror, you find yourself tracing a finger along its edge. You ponder, what if mirrors do come alive at a certain time, perhaps after everyone else has gone to sleep? Do they gather to compare the faces they've seen, whispering secrets of time immemorial into the hush of the night? You exhale softly your breath, misting the glass for a fleeting moment, like a transient spirit nodding in agreement before it dissipates. Imagine the mirrors in the grand old castles of Europe, reflecting the ravages and stories of time, each a silent witness, perhaps, to whispered princehoods and clandestine queenly plots. Your laughter is quiet like a rustle of silk sheets. Maybe old mirrors deserve more respect than we give them, like seasoned storytellers needing only an attentive ear to spin their tales. So as the winds settle and the night deepens, you wonder what new secrets tomorrow's reflections might hold. You reach for a cloth, gently polishing the surface one last time, as if saying goodbye to an old friend. And there it is, the echo of patterns appearing again. You knew it would happen, yet another playful reminder that perhaps there are more mysteries in this world, hidden in plain sight, than you'll ever truly know. You settle back, letting your thoughts drift like a paper boat on a sleepy stream, realizing you don't need all the answers tonight. It's enough to know a story was shared and a little magic found in the ordinary. The room grows warmer, your mind quieter, each breath deep and calm, synchronizing with the rhythm of nighttime whispers. In the distance, or maybe just a dream away, you hear the soft echoes of laughter, or even the faint tune of an ancient lullaby. Who's to say? You let your lids drift down, lulled by the gentle promise of a deep and restful sleep, one that's simple and pure, much like the tales told in the glow of soft candlelight across time. The room is quiet, and the moon casts a gentle light across the hardwood floor as you step softly across the house you know so well. This is the house of your great-grandmother, filled with an air of history and a few creaky floorboards that seem to whisper secrets as you pass by. There in the parlor stands an extraordinary mirror, its ornate frame, a twisting flourish of gold and silver, telling stories of times long past. You pause in front of it, your reflection mingling with the soft shadows of the room. This mirror, more than any piece of furniture, has been a centerpiece in your family's tale. It's more than a reflective surface. It's a guardian, a blessing, even a memory, catching the glints of each generation that has stood before it. You can almost hear the echoes of laughter and perhaps a few disagreements that took place in its gaze. Families, after all, are never short of both. You lean in closer, half expecting the mirror to murmur an ancient chant or deliver a particularly sarcastic quip about your choice of pajamas. Instead, it simply reflects back a calm that feels almost palpable, a stillness that descendants before you must have felt. You wonder if they regarded this mirror with as much awe and occasional puzzlement as you do now. Did they touch its frame, feeling the cool metal beneath their fingertips, hoping for whispers of the past to guide them? Historians still debate whether such mirrors were ever enchanted, or if it was just our ancestors' flair for storytelling. It's said those mirrors were crafted to not only capture one's reflection, but also to protect the soul, an intriguing proposition, considering how smudged with fingerprints it often is. The mirror in your family certainly has its share of legends. Your great-grandfather, perhaps jokingly or maybe not used to claim, that on particularly quiet nights he could see his ancestors lending advice or occasionally yawning in mild exasperation. The fireplace to your right crackles softly, a comforting sound that adds to this room's serene ambiance. Above its mantel sits a faded portrait of your great-grandmother, her eyes wise, and yet carrying a little twinkle. It's easy to pretend she might just step out of the frame and guide you through this story herself, perhaps with a chiding remark about proper posture, or a sly suggestion to check behind the sofa for a stray book that had gone rogue. It's no surprise that mirrors, such as these, have wound their way into our cultural stories, often depicted as magical objects possessing great power, or in some iterations, simply a flair for drama. You touch its frame, feeling the carved ridges beneath your fingers, and sense generations blended within you, guiding your way, whether you realize it or not. For a moment, it's comforting to think that maybe, in another time, you would have been the keeper of legends, handing down tales alongside this mirror to a future generation. As you pull a chair closer, its legs scraping lightly against the floor, a thought crosses your mind. A wonderment at all. Your family must have seen through the ages. Were their lives really so different? You surmise that some things haven't changed over the centuries. Family bonds, the joy of a shared meal, and perhaps even the occasional bout of sibling rivalry, sparked by a sideways glance in the mirror. You chuckle softly, imagining your ancestors squabbling over something trivial. But then again, perhaps that's the real magic, not in grand gestures or mystical objects, but in the everyday moments a smile shared across a table, a comforting hand on your shoulder, or the mirth of finding something as simple as a stray sock. Outside, the wind rustles through the trees, each leaf catching a bit of moonlight, transforming a gentle breeze into a playful dance. The air, imbued with the scent of blooming night jasmine, drifts in through an open window, a reminder of the early autumn nights, filled with warmth and tranquility. Suddenly, a soft, familiar voice breaks through your reverie. Your sister, having finally finished her book, peers around the doorway. Still fixing your hair, she teases, her voice warm with affection. You laugh, running a hand through your hair with exaggerated concern. "Don't want to let great-grandmother down," you reply, winking at your reflection. Together, you both stand silently relishing the comforting quiet of a shared familial space. Though the house is dotted with technology and modern comforts, this moment feels timeless. For a heartbeat, you wonder what it would be like to slip into that mirror world, to live through stories and legends that have sculpted who you are today. Your sister nudges you, breaking into your thoughts. "Come on," she says, "let's get some sleep." Dreaming's always better with some historical guidance. You nod, feeling the day's adventures. A little bit of history, a touch of humor, and a lot of togetherness wrap around you like a comfortable quilt. As you head upstairs, the soft creak of steps beneath you signals each footfall along an ancestry line, a silent symphony harmonizing with the night's serenity. The mirror remains in the parlor, silently capturing the silver-gold glow of the moon, a keeper of secrets, a protector of dreams. Finally curling into bed, your eyes fall heavy, the rhythmic hum of nighttime whispers beginning to blur the edges of wakefulness. The mirror, now a quiet sentinel in your mind, holds the charm of centuries past and the promise of whispered tales yet to arrive. You breathe deeply, and as the soft embrace of sleep tugs gently at your consciousness, you wonder just what stories the mirror will guard tonight. The legend or practice you've stumbled upon tonight is wrapped in mystery. They say breaking a mirror disrupts energy. As you stand in a dimly lit room where everything seems encapsulated in quiet mystery, you watch your own reflection in the fractured glass. A chill runs down your spine, but curiosity keeps you rooted in place. You wonder if the Romans, who ingeniously shaped the course of many myths, could have known their use of mirrors would still resonate thousands of years later. Back then, they believed reflections held the very essence of one's soul, and to shatter a mirror was to release or unsettle this essence. It's comforting to know that even Romans faced 7 years of bad luck if they messed up. At least our unfounded superstitions have stood the test of time. Yet historians still debate whether the Romans were the originators, or perhaps it was a belief borrowed and adapted. Your thoughts wander to medieval times, imagining knights delicately avoiding reflective surfaces before battles. Accidental bad luck wasn't part of the chivalrous agenda. The air around you hums softly as you consider how mirrors became almost magical objects in many cultures. In some practices, breaking one could end a haunting or seal a vow. You're reminded of how in historical periods vows carried a weight of unblemished severity that sometimes required physical manifestations, like a shattered mirror, to signify their gravity. Closing your eyes, you think about the countless whispered secrets these glass barriers must have held, lost with each shattering. An elderly figure joins you in this imagined journey, her voice a gentle echo in the room, telling tales of ghostly apparitions, warded off by breaking mirrors. As she speaks, you can't help but think about how practical it might have been, quicker than calling an exorcist and definitely less dramatic. They say the spirit lingers in its reflection. She muses, her eyes distant. It clicks that in a time with limited explanations for the unexplained, mirrors served as gateways, portals deserving of caution and respect. "Do you think it really worked?" she asks, her voice almost a lullaby. You shrug, the corners of your lips twitching into a smile, though who knows? In worlds where science and superstition blurred, anything was possible. These stories remind you of how people sought to control the uncontrollable forces in their lives. Plus, it's not like modern devices haven't faced their own myth-laden accusations. You chuckle inwardly, picturing someone throwing a smartphone into a river to get rid of its bad vibes. Returning to your thoughts about vows you imagine being in a small candlelit room centuries ago, a couple stands over a mirror ready to make their promises unbreakable. For them, shattering the glass was a sacred expression. You picture their hands trembling slightly, soft whispers exchanged, and in the silence following the shattering, a vow fulfilled, its gravity resonating all around. Your heart softens at the thought. Perhaps this method seemed both meaningful and melodious to them in a world devoid of Instagram proposals. This method of disrupting energy, haunting the living, or solidifying promises, all wrapped in the allures of glass, is truly something you didn't expect to become enchanting. Historical accounts note different ways cultures and communities took the idea of disruption seriously. You take a moment to imagine how a mirror, just like any object, becomes imbued with meaning, the things it witnesses transcending its fragile form. Like attending a loud, chaotic family reunion, these mirrors were the silent observers of generations. Gazing at your reflection once more, the room feels steeped in a mixture of superstition and comfort. You reach out a hand towards the glass, unsure if you wish to shatter it, end a haunting, or merely feel the cool smoothness beneath your fingertips. A shimmering light dances across the broken pieces, and you find yourself enchanted by its beauty. Shadows play on the wall, igniting your imagination and making you think maybe you too could believe in something more out of the ordinary. The elderly lady whispers softly beside you, reminding you that the mysteries of the past don't always need to be solved. Sometimes they are simply there to be enjoyed, like a lullaby that never ends. As her voice fades, you find a peace in the odd harmony of standing amidst these reflections and stories. You chuckle softly, knowing you found something unexpectedly calm in what was once regarded with fear or awe. Finally exhaling deeply, your body lets go of its earlier tension. You smile again, turning away from the mirror, sharing a brief moment of understanding with the elderly figure, as if you both occupy a hidden corner of the world with secrets untold. It's remarkable how such an innocuous object holds a world of stories only glimpsed in fleeting moments before sleep. Feeling lighter, you retreat with the rich tapestry of tonight woven into your memory, a gentle series of tales without conclusion, just echoes of a mischievous past. Yes, some things endure across ages, much like the gentle embrace of bedtime stories, inviting you to wander lands where mirrors might play tricks only you believe in. Perhaps you'll carry this tale into your dreams, letting it weave new stories as your mind drifts into restful sleep. The slender beams of moonlight filter through the ornate glass windows, cast in delicate patterns across the room, just like the delicate tracery of past artists. You step closer, drawn by the allure of scenes trapped eternally behind the glass. Here, frames hold glimpses of a world seldom witnessed by mortal eyes. Beyond the glass, beyond the reach of the tangible lie, vignettes painted with the graceful movements of immortals' riddles, woven into images and coded poems that speak in the silent language of light and shadow. You imagine these scenes designed to amuse humans while aptly confusing any wandering spirit that dares to peer inside. The thought tickles your mind, bringing a slight smile. You've always wondered if spirits truly get confused, or if they simply hover, smug in their invisibility. But tonight there's a comfort in imagining such cosmic mischief. As you lean closer to inspect a particular scene, a delicate dance of constellations that mirror the night sky, you feel a slight shiver. Maybe it's the cool of the evening or the eerie precision with which these figures mimic celestial bodies. You can almost hear the whispers of historians debating how such windows were ever made. Some say alchemists and artists collaborated, mixing exotic sands and ancient colors. Others suggest miracles and magic tasks accomplished under moonlit secrets. You're pulled deeper into the narrative of the glass. Here in these frames, mortals once believed lay the keys to divine knowledge. Decoding the images could reveal prophecies or ancient wisdom. The whimsical part of you wonders why they didn't just jot down notes like everyone else, while the contemplative side acknowledges the beauty and mystery. After all, where's the fun without a riddle to unravel? Through another pane, a gentle visage of a serene goddess meets your gaze. Her eyes seem to follow your movement, giving you pause only momentarily before deciding she must just be very bored. Another part of that same gallery houses shapes that twist into mazes, their paths leading only the mind into loops of contemplation. You can almost hear a visitor, legs sore from a similar journey, remarking dryly, "You'd need a map just to find a way out." A quiet laugh escapes your lips at the thought. You picture scholars pacing back and forth, robes fluttering around them, as they ponder meanings that might not exist beyond aesthetic pleasure. The rich interplay of colors and geometry here is more than a mere trick of artisans. It's history asking questions we never thought to ask. Your fingers trace the air just above a frame that displays a coded poem. Each glyph and swirl seems to pulse with faint, inscrutable energy, as if the words themselves breathe. Is it a love poem, a lamentation of lost ages, or perhaps just a whimsical laundry list? It's the intrigue that captivates you, much like how Marco Polo described his journeys, half adventure, half fanciful tales. Historians aren't even sure how accurate his travelogues were, but then aren't all good stories a bit exaggerated? You'd argue they are just to keep them lively. The low murmur of the night outside complements your thoughts, as if the world shares your pensive mood. The soft clank of knight's armor reverberates faintly, a sound seemingly captured in the glass and released like an echo of yore. It's a reminder of times when knights believed their fate was written in the stars, akin to how seafarers read paths upon the water's surface. Your eyelids grow heavier with each passing moment, the calmness of your surroundings inviting relaxation. A faint breeze from an unseen crack stirs a hanging tapestry, its softness prompting you to imagine tales woven within its fibers, much like the glass panels that adorn the walls and whisper forgotten tales. With the final flicker of candlelight against the glass, your thoughts slowly blend with dreams, carrying you gently along a river of endless stories, each calm ripple a promise of peace and the limitless fantasies yet to beckon. You find yourself standing in the center of a dimly lit room from centuries past. The smell of herbs and wax mingles with the earthy scent of wooden beams. Shadows flicker across the walls, cast by fluttering candles resting in tarnished holders. The only sounds are the soft crackling of the fire and your own measured breathing. The room is a curious blend of comfort and mystery, an intimate space that whispers stories of the past to anyone who listens closely enough. In one corner of the room, an ornate mirror stands. It's positioned curiously, diagonally catching your eye. As you wander closer, you notice how it reflects all four edges of the room, leaving no corner untouched by its gaze. You hear a soft chuckle behind you, a voice from nowhere, yet everywhere in the quiet of the room. No shadows left for spirits to hide here, the voice seems to say, as if it knows the peculiar reputation of such mirrors from ancient lore. You recall a tale you've heard of households that placed mirrors in corners to ward off restless spirits. Perhaps it was mere superstition, you ponder. But then again, wasn't it easier to believe in such harmless fancies than to confront the unknown? Historians still debate whether these reflective guardians efficiently banished spectral visitors or merely offered the illusion of control. You find yourself smiling at the thought of ancient families discussing phantom-filled anxieties over bread and ale. Your fingers brush the mirror's smooth edge. As you adjust the candlestick to get a better look, the reflection shifts, revealing something unexpected, a glimpse of a painted fresco hidden beneath the layers of the plaster. This was a common practice centuries ago, when walls carried stories silently painted layer upon layer, each generation adding its own mark. The hidden paintings served as reminders of what once was, while keeping the mysteries of the past concealed to all but the curious. Smiling wryly, you imagine the original painters leaving these treasures behind as a prank for the future. They couldn't record their history, so they might as well paint it and leave future historians with a puzzle. It's just another classic paint-covered mural left for future generations to struggle over. You think your mind conjuring the playful banter of the artists. You linger in front of the mirror eyes, tracing the faded imagery, considering the layering of history like a worn-out rug, with memories threading through its fabric. Your skin prickles with the slight chill that occurs when curiosity dances just outside the boundary of understanding. You let a slow sigh escape your lips, your breath forming a misty halo on the cool surface. The idea of spirits lurking in corners brings a wry smile to your lips. You remember hearing of an eccentric inventor who once designed devices meant to trap ghosts, simple gadgets with gears and levers, which he claimed were effective deterrents. Well, if the mirrors fail, perhaps I could try my hand at ghost catching. You muse, silently tilting your head at an angle that makes even the room seem amused at your jest. A soft voice draws your attention back to the present. A young servant, their clothes, a muted tapestry of worn grace and patched diligence, offers a gentle warning about the hour's lateness. The reminder echoes the time when such tasks were wrapped in both practicality and ceremony. You nod in acknowledgement the history-laden ambiance, gently pressing against your senses. As the night deepens, the stillness thickens around you, wrapping you in a sense of timelessness. The mirror continues its vigil, unspeaking yet ever watchful, ensuring every nook gleams softly in the candlelight. You wonder if those who lived here once stood where you stand now, questioning the same mysteries their lives, an interwoven fabric of folklore and daily survival. You lean against a wooden column, feeling the notches and grooves beneath your fingertips, marks of the craftsman's hand, speaking silently of the labor and concentration poured into shaping such details. The thought crosses your mind that perhaps in trying to coax beauty from wood, these artisans were lost in their own meditative pursuit of keeping shadows at bay. With a contented sigh, you shake the remnants of imagination from your thoughts, letting them drift away like leaves on a summer brook. The room seems to exhale, with you fitting like a well-loved cloak. Your feet carry you away from the mirror, its glowing reflection a guardian that watches. As shadows retreat, its unwavering presence perhaps as comforting to the spirits as it is to you. The past softens around you, filling the night air with fragments of stories that once were now quiet, but never truly silent. In this cozy reverie, you drift across the floor, each step on ancient stone echoing softly, harmonizing with the distant rustle of the world outside. Shadows and light play together seamlessly as though painting a gentle symphony that rocks you gently towards slumber, leaving you in restful contemplation of hidden paintings and whispering mirrors. You walk through the grand hall, the stone floor cool beneath your bare feet. The air is fragrant with incense swirling in lazy patterns above polished pewter candelabras. Flickering candlelight catches on tiny mirrors strung around your waist, sending soft glimmers dancing across the walls. These mirrors sewn into your belt and robe are said to protect you from unseen dangers lurking in the shadows. As light scatters in all directions, you remember hearing in the marketplace that these reflective charms are believed by some to ward off both evil spirits and the envy of watchful eyes. Though you're amused by the idea, what with spirits and envy being so abundant, it does make you think about the ease with which light exposes hidden threats. You glance down at the reflective surfaces dotting your attire, imagining each flash of light as a silent guardian. With an exaggerated sigh, you muse that in these times of superstition, you probably won't survive this if they don't work as intended. You feel a peculiar sense of connection to those who believed wholeheartedly in such things, those whose lives were woven into the fabric of myth and magic as thick as the tapestries lining the walls here. As you pace, the hem of your robe sweeps the floor, a gentle whisper accompanying each deliberate step. Every little bit of protection helps, a soft voice murmurs from the shadows nearby. You turn your head and see an elderly woman, her eyes twinkling as brightly as the tiny mirrors on your robe. She glides forward, her own belt shimmering like a constellation. After all, what harm can a little superstition do? Her smile is infectious, and you nod in agreement, pleased by her warm presence. I suppose historians still debate whether such charms ever truly had the power to do anything at all. You say, considering the countless volumes written over centuries, each trying to dissect the mysteries of belief. The woman chuckles softly, nodding as if she shares a secret with you. Belief itself is a wondrous thing, she says. Just as these mirrors catch the light, our beliefs catch hope. In a world full of uncertainty sometimes, a little shimmer is all it takes to ease the heart. A thought occurs to you: if only modern problems could be solved with a bit of reflective metal and a hopeful mind. Still, you say with playful skepticism, I'm not sure how these helped against, say, marauding invaders or, a particularly aggressive goose. The woman laughs, a sound like the gentle rustle of leaves. But even the fiercest foes might pause at their own reflection. She suggests with a wink, her face alight with merriment. You grin, charmed despite yourself, and concede the point, remembering tales of how peasants once hung mirrors to confuse and frighten would-be attackers, man or beast. As she moves past you, her own mirrors catching the light, you wonder how many stories have been lost. Stories of courage and cunning of mirrors, blinding enemies long enough for escape. People must have seen so much, believed so deeply in what couldn't be seen, the hidden dangers lurking just beyond the edge of one's sight. Continuing onward, you pass arched doorways, leading into dim rooms filled with shadowy corners. The corridors extend in all directions, labyrinthine and inviting. You pause for a moment to consider your path, deciding to follow one long gallery bathed in sunlight. Outside, the world is alive, a tapestry of vivid greens and sky blues, spilling over into the cloistered calm of the hall. The sound of distant laughter filters through open windows, an echo of life beyond these ancient walls. In the center of a courtyard, a lone figure draws your attention. He stands on a pedestal, a silver belt adorned with mirrors twinkling in the sun like stars casting tiny rainbows upon the cobblestones. Others gather around, watching with rapt attention. Curious, you edge closer until you can hear his voice, a troubadour, sharing the tales of old kingdoms, of heroes and villains, their deeds intertwined with the dance of light and shadow. Long ago, he weaves, rulers wore mirrors in their crowns, believing the reflections confused and distracted those who sought to harm them. A simple trick of light, yet in its simplicity, a profound truth. We fear what we cannot understand, what we cannot see whole. You listen enchanted by the thought a mirror's reflection both reveal and conceal, a perfect metaphor for the mysteries history holds. The storyteller's voice mingles with the warm breeze transporting you beyond the courtyard to places where mirrors flash like signals across time, bridging the old world with the new, As you lean back, supported by the sturdy stone of a worn bench, a sigh slips past your lips. The sun's warmth caresses your face, whispering promises of safety, much like the mirrors strung across your attire. You brush your fingers against one of the small polished surfaces, reflecting on the power of belief, the weight of history woven into every glint and gleam. Behind closed eyelids, your mind drifts lulled by the hum of the world alive with stories yet to be told. Shoulders relaxing, you smile at the question, who wouldn't want a world made safer by simple tricks of light, where danger flees in the face of its own reflection? Breathing deeply, you're thankful for this moment grounded in imaginings and truths of long ago, while the present sways softly beneath the rays of dwindling sunlight. Your thoughts playful, yet profound, ride the breeze, much like the troubadour's tales, meandering gently, finding solace in this slice of timelessness. In a hushed, dimly lit chamber, you've discovered the peculiar charm of an ancient mirror hinting at stories as misted as its surface. It is told that this mirror held a secret, more in spirit than silver, fogging only when deceitful intentions crossed its gaze. You run a gentle hand across the cool glass, recalling how it said when treacherous company entered the glass, blurred, as if hiding the truth. A story, perhaps. You find this notion both amusing and a tad wistful. The room you stand in is draped with heavy tapestries and filled with the low murmurs of stories woven over time. You step with care over the plush, centuries-old rug, feeling its elaborate patterns beneath your feet, like whispers from an age that has long since turned to dust. The air carries an antiquated musk, mixing with the mystique of candle wax and gently burning wood, creating a cocoon of calm around you as you explore this echo of history. A fireplace crackles softly nearby, offering warmth that seems to melt away the distance between you and the past. Your curiosity meanders as you recall a time from your history books, a time when mirrors were not merely for reflection, but for revelation, believed to hold spirits or truths unsaid. Interestingly, mirrors were often covered in homes during thunderstorms or at night to avoid capturing souls in their depths. You wonder with a smirk if people truly feared a spectral selfie. Historians remain divided on whether this particular mirror truly ensured honesty among guests or simply fogged due to a clandestine draft, a mundane possibility, refusing to comply with the allure of enchantment. But its presence is tangible. The texture of its edge under your fingers feels like the spine of an old, trusted tome, holding secrets known only to the touch. A clatter outside the doorway, a maid bustling with sheets. You exchange a knowing smile, her presence a reassuring reality. Some say that mirrors like a dog with its bark. She jests her voice, laced with a warm, lilting accent, all puff when there's strangers about. You share a chuckle, surprised by the warmth in the encounter, because who knew mirrors could be so gossipy? You nod, your interest piqued further. The suggestion of a mirror discerning truth from deceit worms its way into your imagination like a gossip column anecdote, whispering from another era. Glancing once more at the enigmatic pane, you notice how each swipe of your sleeve across its face reveals a trace outline of your reflection beneath the haze, imperfect and honest. You pause, feeling a sense of reverence, an inclination you recognize as part tradition, part wonderment. After all the tales, spun by those who stood here generations before, you seem lovingly woven into each spectral thread of this fabric in time. As evening settles, in golden lamplight dances around you, casting gentle shadows that flicker with an age-old rhythm. You imagine yourself among those of the past who gathered here, perhaps sipping mild spiced wine trading tales, layered with truth and exaggeration, a continuing legacy of human nature. The ambiance of the room seems to lean in like an old friend whispering secrets. You listen, allowing the soft, sleepy rhythm of history to cradle your mind as you ponder. Was the mirror an instrument of wisdom, or just a piece of fancy furniture? Yet maybe that doesn't matter, because what lingers is the curiosity it sparks, the harmless prankster edge to a lifetime of weary mirrors. Drifting toward the nearest window, you admire how nightfall looms, bringing with it a sky sprinkled with stars, still and silent watchers of countless stories. The night lends itself to reflection, much like the mirror. With a quiet, amused sigh, you feel the subtle embrace of history enveloping you, every lesson half remembered like a philosophical riddle, half teasing and half teaching. The mirror, forgotten for a moment, catches the glow of moonlight and winks back at you from across the room. You chuckle softly, acknowledging its playful persistence. The mirth in your heart lifts the weight of the evening as you step away, allowing your mind to drift on a gentle current of wonder. This narrative has enveloped you in a soothing rhythm where curiosity is a companion and mystery a gentle lure. Alongside the subtle play of shadows and flickering hearthlight, you've been led into a tale as comforting as the fabrics you tread upon. The whispers from the past fade into the soft warmth of your surroundings, a perfect harmony to lead your thoughts toward rest. As the room settles into a profound stillness, you find yourself embraced by the comfort of knowing that even in stories where fact and fancy intertwine, there is a peculiar kind of truth, one that soothes the mind like a gentle lullaby. The mirror remains a silent guardian of its secrets, its story fading into the quietude of a night clasping you close in tranquil warmth. You wander through the opulent halls of a grand palace, your footsteps silent on the cool stone floors. The air is thick with the smell of polished wood and faint incense, reminding you of the weight of history carried by these majestic corridors. You find yourself in ancient China under the reclusive reign of a Han ruler, renowned not just for his wisdom, but also his peculiar habits. Dim candlelight flickers against the intricately carved walls, casting long shadows that dance like phantoms in the night. Your journey takes you to the private chambers of the ruler, where you notice an unusual setup, a lavish bed sheltered by an array of finely positioned mirrors. It's said he chose to sleep surrounded by reflective surfaces as a safeguard against wandering spirits. As you edge closer, you try not to smirk at the idea. After all, you think, if mirrors could hold such power, they might just make your hair look better in the morning. The air in the room is serene, yet tinged with mystery. You imagine what it must be like for the ruler lying there, caught between reflections of reality and the realm of dreams. Historians still debate whether this precaution truly protected him. but you marvel at the belief in its place in such rich traditions. Softly silk-clad servants move about the room. Their shoes make no sound against the polished floors, careful not to reflect anything that might catch a spirit's eye. You sense a blend of practicality and superstition in this age-old practice. The light from the room glimmers gently, bouncing off delicate silks. You briefly entertain the thought of how these servants, silent in their duties, might be the original masters of stealth ninjas, of domesticity, if you will. Suddenly, a gentle breeze slips through an open window, stirring the room with a breath of crisp night air. The moon hangs low outside its pale light, casting a glow that rivals the candle's warmth. As you see the shifting patterns of light and shadow, you reflect on the ruler's choice, mirroring his attempts to control the uncontrollable, be it destiny or the supernatural. You feel the gentle rhythm of weariness cradle you as the scene fades to one of tranquil, nighttime ambience. The quiet sway of silk upon the breeze is like the whisper of time itself, where even the mirrors seem to hum with the echo of ages. Now, as weariness tugs at your eyelids, you allow your mind to drift, comforted by the embrace of history, folded within these ancient tales that, like the mirrors, reflect a world of wonder back at you. Yet perhaps, like many tales of the past, there's more here than meets the eye. Could the mirrors be more than mere objects, or has their story been exaggerated through the echoes of retelling over centuries? You exhale softly, imagining the shadows of ancient dreams just a whisper away. You allow yourself one last glance at the mirror's musing over the silent interplay of superstition and reality. With a final act of will, you draw comfort from the stories they hold. Your eyes flutter closed as you sink gently into your own dreams, surrounded by the quiet strength of history's embrace. You walk through the marketplace, feeling the cool breeze wrapped around your skin, almost as if the night itself is ushering you forward. Tucked away in a modest corner, you spot something gleaming, an object catching the moonlight, just so captivating your curious gaze. It's a mirror, though. In this world, its polished bronze surface reflects more than just a face. In Han China, mirrors were crafted with exquisite designs, not solely for vanity, but as a guardian of sorts, acting as a shield against unseen dangers, both earthly and spiritual. As you lean closer, you can almost feel the hum of its age-old energy, the weight of its silent promises hanging in the air. Legend has it that mirrors like this were believed to ward off evil spirits, reflecting them back to their realm. You can't help but wonder, did people ever really feel safe with just a piece of bronze between them and the unknown? A vendor, noticing your interest, approaches with a knowing smile. "Ah, you have an eye for mystery," he says, his voice smooth like the silk threads in his tunic. "These mirrors have seen more than we could ever imagine." You nod, tracing your fingers along the intricate carvings, and feel the cool ridges tell stories untold. As he tells you, mirrors in those times were also a guide. They were used in feng shui, the ancient art of channeling the forces of nature to harmonize with one's environment. Imagine consulting the mirror before rearranging a home, hoping its reflection might adjust the energies circling around you. Your thoughts drift to the lives touched by these mirrors. It was more than just a tool. It was part of the household, a silent participant in daily toils and evening rituals, a steadfast observer that surely held countless secrets, its bronze lips sealed tight. There's an amused gleam in the vendor's eye as he leans in closer, whispering, as if divulging an ancient secret. Historians still debate whether mirrors ever held mystical properties, or if our ancestors simply loved a good story. You chuckle lightly, sharing in his mirth. It's comforting in a way to think that maybe people haven't changed all that much. We all fancy a bit of what if, don't we? The marketplace begins to quiet the night air, cooling to a gentle chill that tickles your skin as you decide to venture onward. With each step, the mirror feels like a part of the world beyond itself, a kaleidoscope of history, reflecting the soft glow of lanterns and the murmur of a civilization at rest. Street by street, the town unfurls before you a tapestry of clinking pottery, the shuffle of sandals on stone, and the echoing lullaby of a distant flute. Every creaky door and rustling leaf adds to the symphony of the night. And as you meander the mirrors, not just in shops, but embedded in daily life, remind you how seemingly mundane objects can carry the weight of cultural legacy. They are a testament to human ingenuity, reflection on the surface, and perhaps introspection in the soul. You find yourself wondering if the mirror could speak, what tales would it tell? Would it recount the faces it has seen, the whispered prayers, the dreams of the sleepers it reflected, while candlelight flickered? You sigh softly, your fingers brushing idly against the fabric of your sleeve, feeling the cool metal bracelets adorning your wrist jingle gently, an echo of the skies above. The night seeps into your being, and you realize how sometimes, even in a bustling world of chaos and clangor, serenity can be found in unexpected places, in the silent gaze of a mirror too wise to speak.